yourself so big. All right, hello and welcome everybody. My name is Katie. I'm the office manager at Supplyframe. We are so excited that everybody is here today, and thanks so much for joining us. We are super excited to be sponsoring this event. We love Space Apps. This is such a cool challenge and event. We're just really excited, so thank you again for coming. Like I said, I'm the office manager at Supplyframe. We are a local tech company. We were founded in Pasadena, and even though we've been around for a while now, and we've definitely grown a lot more than our very humble beginnings, we're still here. We're still down in Pasadena. We're just down the street. We are involved in the community as we possibly can. We are a company that really focuses on making better. We do that by tools for rural progression. It's a great company. I wanted to talk. So you guys are in May of this year, so stay tuned for that. We actually have an Instagram account, Supplyframe Design Lab, so you should check it out. We're going to be keeping that really updated with all the latest and greatest news. So please keep an eye out for that. Follow us on Instagram. And Design Lab is really a physical manifestation of our dedication to the community and collaboration. We're trying to bring arts and tech and design all together and create really beautiful, innovative, inspired designs and products. And Dan, our resident engineer here at the Design Lab, will definitely go into more detail and kind of talk about our plans for this beautiful space. So here you go, Dan.
Hi everyone, I'm Dan Hinch. I'm the resident engineer, so I'm basically in charge of this facility here. This is the Supplyframe Design Lab, and the concept behind this is that we want to be able to give people with a passion for a particular project the ability to sort of walk in through the front door with their idea and walk out the back door with the physical representation of that idea. So the way we're going to make that happen is that we're going to have a series of residents. There'll be an artist in residence, a technologist in residence, and they're going to be invited through an application process to submit a project for fabrication and for creation here at the Design Lab. I don't know exactly how many residents we're going to have at any one time right now. I think we're going to start off with about 4. And that'll probably be where we start, so four design teams. And that application process is probably going to open up in probably the next month or so. So definitely stay tuned on the Design Lab website. We'll be able to find out more information about that when the application process is open. And if you are somebody that has that sort of idea that you think, boy, if I just had the right tools to be able to bring this to reality, this is the place that would be able to provide those tools to get that project built. Now, that's sort of the project in their projects. Here with Space Apps, we have this fantastic venue for being able to do workshops, for being able to hold meetups, for being able to hold teaching events. And we really want to be able to open that up to the greater Pasadena community, to the SoCal community, for a place for people to really get in touch with engineering, for people to be able to realize that making solid things, for being able to take an idea and make a physical reality out of it is a possibility in today's world. And that's why we're getting all this fantastic fabrication equipment that you've been seeing sort of running around in the facility right now. I'll just talk a little bit about that equipment right now. We've got, obviously we've got the little other mill that's been tooling away on building a couple of Arduinos. It's a little CNC milling machine. We've got the Big Brother milling machine, the Tormach in the back. Right next to that is a ShopBot, which is capable of cutting a full-size piece of plywood with various different bits. We have a table saw, drill press, band saw. We're going to have a full electronics assembly and testing area in the back now. That's the one thing that we haven't actually built out yet. And then we have the 3D prototyping room in here where we'll be doing 3D printing, we've got the laser cutter, we've got low resolution 3D printing, we've got high resolution 3D printing. So we're trying to cover a lot of the very general bases. And then when people start coming to us with ideas for the things that they want to build, we'll start to get a little bit more specific into the tooling that we provide to get those projects built. So that's the general overview of what the Design Lab is. I'm going to be running around all evening, so if you want to talk to me about it, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Cool.
Okay, great. Oh, yeah. So one quick little announcement. It's not little, actually. We're really excited about it. We really do admire so much what Space Apps Challenge does. It really brings the global community together, and there's no boundaries, and people collaborate, and it's such an amazing thing. And to show how dedicated we are to this project, we are actually going to be offering a 2-month residency to a project at the Space Apps Challenge. It will be for up to 3 people on a project, and they will have a 2-month residency here, and actually $2,000 per month during that residency to build out their design. It does have to be a physical project, or it can be a plugin, an app for software, but it has to be a physical thing. But we're really excited about it. We think this is a really great way to foster and kind of flesh out any amazing idea or project that you might have. And we will actually be deciding who the winner of that is. It will be Supplyframe and Design Lab coming together and trying to find that best, most innovative project. So we hope you're excited about that as well. Woo! And actually, in that same vein, I'm going to hand the mic over to Liz, who is our Hackaday community leader, and she's going to speak about our Hackaday prize, which we do every year. Some of you may be familiar with it. It's a little bit different this year, and she will go into detail about that. So thank you.
Hi, all, happy to be here. I'm new on the team and super excited for the new Hackaday prize for 2016. Some of you might know us from last year, so the prize was some $100,000 or a trip to space last year. This time we're giving away about $300,000 total in prizes over the next several months, and we're splitting them across, I believe, 105 different winners. So you have a much bigger chance of actually winning a piece of the action this time for your innovative projects. So we're doing 5 different challenges. The first one, which is active right now, you can submit your project today if you want to. Is it just a design concept? You submit an idea and an image to represent that idea. And then in the coming months, we're going to have 4 more challenges in different areas like citizen science, assistive technologies, and anything goes category for any other out-of-the-box ideas you have. But the big theme is we want to harness the community's skills, your skills, to make projects that solve real-world problems to make the world a better place, save the world, what have you. Like our grand prize winner last year was an assistive technology that allowed people with ALS to control a wheelchair just by moving their eyes using eye tracking technology to run the wheelchair and drive it. So just to give you a flavor of the sort of things that we're hoping to get. But hopefully the Space Apps Challenge will whet your appetite for other ideas. You can keep going after this challenge in April is over. So keep it in your minds for later. And let's get started.
Yeah. Thank you. Welcome.
I can't imagine, it's just such a cool thing to have a space like this opening in Pasadena, such a great location right off the park here, and such a cool thing to have in our backyard. So thank you Supplyframe for that, for taking that big leap, but also thank you for taking the small step of hosting us for this first kickoff event. We appreciate it very much. So thank you. My name is Joe Brisboy. I'm the organizer of the Space Apps Challenge here in Pasadena, and I will be telling you a bit about that in a moment. But before I do, I would like to invite Mark Breitenberg from Innovate Pasadena to say a few words on their behalf. Innovate Pasadena has been a great sponsor of our event and supporter of bringing Space Apps here to Pasadena. So please welcome Mark.
Thank you, Joe. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Innovate Pasadena in a moment, but I'm also work at Art Center College of Design, and I don't know if you guys know this, you probably do, but this is the former space for the Graduate Fine Art program at Art Center, and it was my first job teaching critical theory to the artists here. So there's an incredible, nice lineage that you are, especially hearing about the residency, that this was formerly an Art Center College of Design space. So I'm also a founding board member of Innovate Pasadena. Innovate Pasadena is committed to creating a vibrant ecosystem of technology and design innovation in the greater Pasadena area in order to promote sustainable growth. That's our tagline. There's a lot of interesting stories about the origin of Innovate Pasadena 3 years ago. One of them is that a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of innovative people, got really sick and tired of hearing all about Silicon Beach, and especially sick and tired of having to drive all the way to the west side to find something interesting and innovative.
You're here.
Yes, I'm one of those people. And one of the things that we realized right away is that Pasadena and the surrounding areas are kind of well-kept secret. There's no reason for that to be the case. We have such a density of talent here, of institutions, of organizations, of brilliant, innovative companies, that our goal was to shine a light on all of that great stuff, but also to continue to attract new companies, new innovative companies to this region. And I know you all know this because you're here, you work here at least. It's just remarkable to see what's happened even in the last year or so. You've got ADP, this gigantic company opening their innovation center right here in Pasadena. Cross Campus came here, I think, a little over a year ago. We now hear that Kaiser, you might not have heard this, it's brand new, is opening a medical school right down the street here, which is going to just blow away the traditional ways that medicine has been taught. Alibaba from China is opening on Colorado Boulevard in the next couple of months. And I think on behalf of Innovate Pasadena, we really hope that some of you can get involved. We're very proud to be a sponsor of the Space Apps Challenge. We did it last year. We're even more proud this year because Joe persuaded NASA to make Pasadena the international platform for the Space App. So you'll hear more about that in a minute. But we are the center of the world right now for the Space Apps, and that's really exciting. It could not be more exciting to have it here because of our tradition in aerospace, because of Caltech, because of JPL. I mean, it's such a perfect fit. And when Innovate Pasadena heard that Joe was going to do this last year and then expand it this year, we just jumped all over it. It's a perfect thing, and it's exactly the kind of thing we want to support. So let me, first of all, thank Microsoft Azure for being the lead sponsor of the event. We're really pleased to see your commitment here. Thank you also to Supplyframe and this amazing new space, which is just, again, exactly what we're all about. It just epitomizes and embodies all of the great innovation that's happening in the city and in the surrounding area. Thank you, Supplyframe, of course. And Joe, thank you very much for championing, leading this, being a great innovator in the Space Apps Challenge. So thank you all very much. Great to see you all.
Thank you. So if you can we fire up computer number 2. Looks like Best Buy over there. Okay, so this is awesome. So real quick, the reason that we're doing this event and the one in a few weeks, the second meetup, is because we realized last year when we did this event, Space Apps here in Pasadena, that there's so many challenges, there's so many teams, there's so many sponsors, there's so many tools, there's so many resources, that trying to get it all the weekend of the main event is just impossible. So you end up missing a lot of opportunities. So we thought this year we would reach out to people earlier. We would do events like this so that you guys could get your feet wet and dive in 6 weeks out and hopefully get a lot more out of the event. So with that, I'll dive in, and I'm going to be giving them like little clues to pop to the next slide. So you can go ahead and pop to the next slide. So real quick, I'll talk about what Space Apps is. For anyone who's new and hasn't participated before, it is a global hackathon that NASA puts on each year. This is the 5th year of it. It started down in Houston. The last few years, it was the main stage was in New York. And as Mark referenced, this year the main stage is in Pasadena. So I'll tell you about that in a second. But the event just keeps growing. So this year they're at 193 locations, 72 countries, and they expect close to 20,000 participants globally, all working on the same 30 some odd challenges over the same 48 hours. So it really has become like an epic movement globally. And we are the main stage this year. So what that means is that it allows us to showcase on a global stage really the past, present, and future of Pasadena. It gives us a chance to show our role and our contribution to the worlds of science, technology, design, and engineering, and highlight some of the things that are happening here every day and have been happening here every day for the past 100 some odd years to push all of these areas and disciplines forward. So it really is, I believe, and I think a lot of you believe, it really is a unique place in the world, not only in science, not only in design, not only in technology, not only in engineering, but all up in innovative thinking. So I couldn't be happier that they've selected us to be the main stage this year and give us a chance to showcase what makes Pasadena so great. So in addition to that, getting to be in the spotlight, it also means that we'll be kind of the epicenter for that weekend. So we will have NASA dignitaries here. We will have their chief scientist, their chief technology officer. We'll have astronauts. We'll have a lot of involvement from JPL, which is fantastic. We will get to host a Women in Data boot camp the Friday before Space Apps. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but that's a fantastic event. We will host the NASA press conference where they talk about space apps to the world. And then we will have live streams and updates coming from our event emanating out to the rest of the world all weekend. And we've also, it really has given us opportunity to get fantastic sponsors on board, to get JPL involved in a much bigger way than they have been in the past, and really deliver an event to you guys. I think that's far beyond what we could do without that main stage designation. So it is a big deal. We can go to the next slide. So who is this for? Who are you guys? So this event is for everybody. It is for, I listed them here, but engineers, scientists, artists, designers, developers, project managers, students, teachers, photographers, entrepreneurs, hackers, dreamers. I was going to say it's for everybody but the parking meter ticket guys, but then I thought, well, if one of them is in the room, like, I feel like a jerk for excluding them. But it is really for everybody. Like, these teams need all sorts of people. So each of these projects, you're going to get a challenge, you're going to have data that you're trying to come up with a meaningful solution from. You're going to need to communicate that data. You need to represent your ideas visually. You need to tell stories. You need to make sure your project is done on time so you can pitch it on Sunday afternoon. So there are a lot of different disciplines and roles that need to be filled on these teams. So if you're sitting there and asking yourself, well, what can I do at a hackathon? You know, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a programmer. I don't build things. Search deeper. You know, think about it differently. Like, there are things you can do to help get these projects done, even if it's being moral support. You know, but there is a role for everybody. And if you're having trouble finding a role, come and ask me, and I will help you. And likewise, if your team, if you're thinking we got this, we can do this all ourselves, really evaluate yourself and look at it objectively and think, is there something you need? And then reach out and find that person. So one other thing I want to say though while we're on this, and this is a little serious point, but is that this hackathon is an open environment hackathon, and this is we will not be allowing any sort of harassment. We will not be allowing any sort of discrimination against people based on their race or their age or their disabilities or their sexual preference or their gender identity or anything. So we're completely open and inclusive. It's an open data, open source hackathon. So it's very much a collaborative, welcoming environment. If that's not your gig, that's fine. You don't have to show up. But for everyone who's here, hopefully you're supportive of that and respectful of each other, and we all have a great time. So, legal part done. Next piece. That's not actually a legal part, it's just something I believe strongly in. So, this is a very important piece. Take a picture of it with your phone if you haven't, if you're not aware of it yet. That is the website. That's where you register for the Space Apps Challenge in Pasadena. We do not have unlimited space. We have quite a bit of space. We'll be able to handle a couple hundred people, but it will fill up. So if you're interested in getting involved, please sign up early. Sign up there. That is also the place where you can find all the information about our Space Apps Challenge. So the who, what, when, where will all be there. That's kind of ground central to that. So The challenges I referenced, so there are 6 categories this year: technology, aeronautics, space station, solar system, Earth, and journey to Mars. Each one, you see they have a little Twitter account for each one. Dive in, take a look. Each one has a variety of types of challenges in them, from kind of lighter weight challenges to deep dive, very scientific, like kind of engineering, data heavy ones. There's something for everybody in there. As you're picking them, be sure to check out these areas, talk to other teams, talk to teams on other cities, reach out to people. Again, it's an open environment, collaborative type of a hackathon. So there's a lot of knowledge out there, there's a lot of people out there, there's a lot of NASA out there, so there's a lot of people working around the world for and with NASA in different ways. So you never know, somebody in Cairo might be doing a project with NASA on the topic that you're interested in. So use this as a chance to reach out, expand your Rolodex. That's where the challenges are. Same place as the sign up, basically. I just want to keep hammering this home so you guys know where to go for it. But that's where you can find the challenges. Okay, so teams, tools, and resources. You're here. One of the big things that I would encourage you to do tonight is reach out to each other and form teams. I know I've heard some teams already floating around, but if you are looking for somebody, this is a great place to find somebody. If you're shopping yourself, it's a great place to do it. But reach out, meet each other, and start to get a sense of what you want to put together. There are tools and resources available to you throughout this challenge. They will be offered by our partners and sponsors. They will be offered by NASA. If we can go to the next page. It'll start to pop up. So this one is a very important one to know, and I'll post all these online, but this is an open data challenge. NASA puts tons and tons of data up on this website. That is where you will dive in and geek out on all sorts of data. If you have trouble interpreting the data, parsing the data, making sense of the data, there will be people from JPL available to help you with that task. There will also be people, obviously, from all the other cities that can help with that as well. The next one. So last year, everybody here, and there was a few of you who participated last year, we set up a Hackpad. We've got it set up again this year. The Hackpad will have lots of information about the event, but it will also have information about the different challenges. It's a great place to go in and put up your ideas of what you're thinking of doing. It's a great place, again, to look for teams. It's a great place to reach out to people from JPL. Last year we had people who had written the challenges, interacting with teams and helping them out. It'll be a great place for our sponsors to connect with you. So if you're listening to tonight, you'll hear from Microsoft in a second. Intel has great things, Socrata has great things. If they have something that you'd like to incorporate or you think you'd like to incorporate, this will be a place that you can connect with them and find out. We have a Facebook page, if that's your bag. Knock yourselves out. I'll post stuff up there. It'll have information. I'm not heavily involved in that side, but if that's how you go, it's there. The next one will be Twitter. This has all of our kind of day-to-day updates, everything that happens if an astronaut comes to town and visits, if we've got some new info on one of the challenges, if there's an update to what we'll be serving for lunch on Saturday at the event. I mean, all that stuff will come through at Twitter. It's a pretty active account, so follow that. And finally, there's one more. The meetup page. So obviously you all signed up through the meetup page for this. There's one more after this on there, and then after that we'll stop using it for our events. But since you're all here, you're all on meetup, it's a great place to connect to each other. So if you found someone here but you don't get their info tonight, you can always go back to that and use that to sync up. Once again, that's where you register. And again, I'm telling you all because I hate for someone to come here, be excited, and then not register and miss out on that chance to get in. So that's it. Next. As I said, these aren't just our sponsors. These are great tools for you to use to make your solutions better. Each of these are offering something to you, and they're doing it not because they just want you to go buy an Xbox next week. They're doing it because they believe in what you guys are doing. They believe in the path you're on in life, and they want to be a part of it. They want to encourage it. So you will see that there are offers made by all of these companies to assist you as we go along. It might be in products, it might be in connections, it might be in just supporting us so we have great food to eat during these events. But they're all doing something to help. So when they make things available to you, it's worth checking it out. It's worth, if you say, hey, I saw a lot of cool Microsoft stuff, I don't know how that fits into my project. Reach out to them and say, here's what I'm thinking of doing, how can it help? And they will get in touch with you, they will help you incorporate this stuff. They want you to use their products and try them out. They want your feedback. They want to know what works and what doesn't. So look at them as a resource, as a partner, not as, oh, they're the ones who are going to give me a t-shirt, right? It's not about the t-shirt. It's about the fact that they can open up some avenues and some doors for you, get you going on some tools that can make a difference in the things that you're doing to change the world. So, next. An example, this is Socrata. They can't be here tonight. Their team's on the East Coast. But they are offering a prize to the team whose solution makes best use of the data available on data.nasa.gov and the integrated Socrata APIs. They've got websites here you can go to learn more about how to best use their APIs in your solutions. Check it out. If it looks like something mildly interesting or mildly related to what you're doing, there will be information posted on all of our sites of how to get in touch with them so that somebody there can be a mentor, work with you and your team, help you get up and running with their products, and get you going. So, and then they'll give a nice prize to the best use. And that brings me to the next piece, which is introducing Microsoft, who we are very happy, who we're very happy to have on board this year as our title sponsor. You will see occasionally Space Apps Pasadena presented by Microsoft, presented by Microsoft Azure. It's not just a marketing piece. They're really invested in this. They're putting a lot of time and energy into this. They get it. They want to be involved and they want to make this better. So we couldn't be happier to have them on board. And I'm going to let Brett talk about it and dive in. So.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joe. And Joe and I were talking earlier, and our goal really is to help you, right? And so we want to help you with your hacks. We think at Microsoft we've got a lot of technologies to help you create some awesome hacks. So that's really kind of what I'm here to do tonight, is just try and talk about sort of how we can help. If you find that you need to run some code in the cloud, we've got virtual machines. If you need a place to maybe provide a backend, if you're going to work around with some Intel Edisons, and you need a backend for your IoT solutions, we've got that up in Azure. If you need to store data in the cloud, we actually have a bunch of different ways you can store data up in Azure. If you need to do predictive analytics, you're talking about this large set of open data from NASA, doing predictive analytics on that, we've got machine learning. If you need a place to run a website, we've got Azure Web Apps. And if you need to do any image or speech or language processing, we've got a really cool set of APIs called Project Oxford. And I'm going to talk really briefly about each one of these. So let me go ahead first, and I'm going to jump into virtual machines here. And check my audio.
I've been stranded on Mars. I need help.
Oh, Daniel, this is Brett. I'm here on planet Earth. I heard about you. You got stranded on Mars by your crew? That's amazing. How are you contacting me?
Well, I actually got some satellite pieces and pieced them together. I was able to get audio and video out of it, but I actually pointed this thing at Houston. I'm not sure how I got you.
Oh, bad aim, I guess. But I'm actually in the middle of a presentation right now talking to developers about creating space apps. How can I help?
Well, you know, I'm going to be here for a while, and I'm going to need water, I'm going to need food, and I really need computing power to be able to calculate how I can get all this stuff. Do you think you can help?
Actually, yeah, I was just about to talk about Azure Virtual Machines. So in Azure, you can run both Windows and Linux virtual machines. We've got images that have just the bare bones OSs that you can get in and configure, or we have images that have products pre-installed for you. So I'm actually going to jump in here and show you kind of what that looks like. To create a Unix VM, I can just jump into the portal under virtual machines. I can pick a pre-built Ubuntu image. tell it I want to go and create that. When you're setting that up, you give the computer a name, and of course to be able to log into it, I'm going to need some administrative credentials. I'll create a resource group so I can sort of tie all the resources for my hack together, and then I get to tell it what data center I want it to run in. So I'll just pick West US. You can pick the size, I'll choose A1, but you can look at all the other sizes for their performance and cost. You can configure network interfaces and firewalls and IP addresses and all that good stuff. I'll just leave it at the default and tell it to go ahead and create the VM. And when it's done, it takes a few minutes to create, but once it's done, I can actually drill into that virtual machine, get to all the settings, including that public IP address, and then I can just go copy that public IP address, go take the SSH client tool of my choice. In this case, I'll go use PuTTY. I can just paste that in, connect over the internet, accept the certificate, log in with the credentials I specified, and at that point, I'm now sitting in the terminal and I can just go configure this machine any way I like and install whatever I want. Now for a Windows VM, I've got pretty much the same story. Back up in the portal, I can go back to new, virtual machines, and pick a Windows Server template this time. Give it basically the same settings, the Windows computer name, the Windows administrative credentials for logging in. I'll put it in that same resource group so that all my resources are together in one management unit, same data center. I'll pick the same size here. And again, just accept the defaults on the network configuration and let it create. The cool thing about a Windows Server when it's done is when I connect into it, I can actually click this connect button up at the top to download a remote desktop protocol file and actually just RDP into that, log in with those admin credentials I specified, and now I've got a Windows Server that I can fully configure and install anything I want to. It's really that easy.
Right? Those virtual machines look perfect. Now what I need is possibly some IoT help. So I have some crops, and I was able to get a Raspberry Pi and some sensors, some soil sensors, and I really need a place to move all the data so I can look at it and monitor my crops. Can you help me out there?
Yeah, but it looks like maybe you're not alone.
Oh yeah, some of the locals have taken a liking to me, so.
Well, I hope you're friendly. But yeah, we do have actually a lot of great IoT solutions. So like in your case, you were talking about a soil sensor, but it could be really any other kind of sensor. And of course, there's tons of popular microcontroller boards out there, Raspberry Pis and Intel Edisons, or grab another mill and go make your own Arduino. And then from there, I can push messages up from those devices into an Azure IoT Hub. And an Azure IoT Hub is just a great place for me to ingest possibly millions of messages at a time. And once I have them up into Azure, I can then turn around and do something with those messages. And one thing that you can do is use another service we have called Stream Analytics to take that data, perform aggregations on it, and push it off to somewhere else, like a data store or maybe up to Power BI for reporting. So again, let me show you kind of what that looks like here. Maybe, there we go. So this is a walkthrough of thinglabs.io demo. I've got an Arduino with a SparkFun weather shield with a bunch of sensors, temperature and humidity, connected over USB to my computer. And then up in Azure, you can create Internet of Things solutions, just right underneath Internet of Things. And there's IoT hubs and Stream Analytics and Hadoop and a whole bunch of other good stuff. But I've already got some baked. This is an IoT hub that can ingest messages. And then I have a Stream Analytics job that can come in and get data in from that IoT hub and push the data off to a Power BI data set. And it does it with this query. So the query is going to, as it says there, get the data in from the hub. It's going to push it up into my Power BI data set for me. And it's going to run a bunch of aggregates, maxes and mins and averages on top of those temperature and humidity sensors. And it's going to run it about once every 5 seconds. So now on my computer back over in Node.js, I can connect up to my event hub. Then I can connect over USB to that Arduino with the SparkFun weather shield, pull the sensor data off, generate a JSON payload, and then just send that message up into my Azure IoT Hub. And so if I jump out and actually run that app, you can see it connect up to the Arduino over COM6, connect up to the Azure IoT Hub, and start generating JSON messages. And so at this point, those messages are going into the IoT Hub. Stream Analytics is picking those up and pushing them off to Power BI. So this is the Power BI reporting platform. There's all that data. I'll grab out the averages, break them down by their timestamp and when they were sent. I can save that up as what we call a report. And then you can publish that visual up on what's called a dashboard that actually lets you see that data live. You're really seeing all the steps here. So that's live data. So if I pull that over to the side and bring the camera back up where you can see the Arduino, I've just grabbed something cold out of the freezer. I'll just drop it on top of that smartphone weather shield, and you can start to see the sensor values drop over in Power BI. So it's a great way to be able to visualize your IoT data.
Hey Brad, those IoT solutions are really cool, and I actually want to introduce you to my friend Sam, and oddly enough, he speaks English.
Hey Brad. Yeah, we get all the radios and TV shows up here, that's why I can speak all the languages.
Cool. So anyway, now that we have all that data, we actually need somewhere to store it. Do you have somewhere place we can store this data?
Actually, again, yeah, Azure to the rescue. We've got a ton of different ways that you can store data in Azure. We have a number of database as a service solutions. So if you need a relational database, we have Azure SQL database. So if you've worked with SQL Server or other relational database engines, this is a great way to do that without having to spin up a VM and do installs and having to manage the database engine and all that good stuff. We also have a great NoSQL database as a service. That's a JSON document database called DocumentDB. Or you can always just go install the database engine of your choice in the operating system of your choice on top of a virtual machine out there. So again, when we jump back over here, to create a SQL database, I can just jump into the portal and under Data and Storage, choose SQL database. You can give it a name. It's got to go on a server, so I'll go set up a server and tell it again what credentials I want it to use, and I'll put it off in that West US data region. And then you can actually set it up with blank data, sample data, or restore from a database. I'm using AdventureWorks here. I'll pick the smallest pricing tier, which is a basic. It's about $5 for a 2 gig database a month. Put it in that same Space Apps resource group that all my other stuff is in, create the database. Once that's done, I can jump in, set up a firewall rule so that my client application can connect over the internet, grab my server name, and now I can use just standard SQL client tools and APIs to be able to connect. So for example, here's SQL Server Management Studio, just log in from my workstation. I can drill in, there's my AdventureWorks sample data. It's a SQL server at that point. Now for a document DB, I can jump in, this time to create an Azure document database. Document databases live inside an account, so I'll set up an account, assign it to my resource group in the region. And once that's created, I'll go and create a database, and the database is really a container of one or more collections. And the collection is actually where you pay for the storage. So this is where I'll pick my pricing tier. I'll just pick the cheapest one again. And now I can actually connect over client APIs, but we allow you to do a lot of management in the portal. So here I'm actually uploading some JSON documents right into the database through the portal. This is just some sample weather data. I can see the documents and see the values, and then I can actually query it in the portal as well. We get a SQL-like syntax, so this is basically a select star from that returns all the documents back. But I can put a where clause in and say, just give me the documents where the Fahrenheit property has a value between 50 and 60. And sure enough, I get just those 2 documents back, and their values are between 50 and 60. So it's really cool to be able to use sort of a SQL-like syntax on top of a document database and working with JSON documents and JSON properties from SQL queries. In this case, I'm putting a database engine inside a VM. So I just SSH back into my VM. I can do like an apt-get install and just go install Mongo. Now, that's great if you already have a VM, but we also have a bunch of scripts that you can run. So this is an example of a script for going out and putting Mongo in an Ubuntu VM. I just click the deploy to Azure button, follow the prompts, and then we'll go set the VM up and Mongo and everything. And then I can open up the firewall and connect, and I'm good to go.
So I was actually playing around with the meme stack before I left Earth, so the MongoDB and the VM looks really cool. Although the document DB stuff looks really, really easy. But I'm really actually concerned with my crops and my food. Sam's been offering me some of his food. I don't think it'll agree with me. So I was wondering if, from all the data that I'm putting up in the cloud, if there's some learnings I can get from it, and if you have something that will help me with that.
Yeah. You bet. Earlier I mentioned we can do predictive analytics with machine learning. So with machine learning, if you have data with known inputs and known outcomes, we can use that to basically train a model. So you pull your data in. For example, in Daniel's case with the crops, maybe we've been capturing off those soil sensors for some time, and we can say, well, when the soil was in these conditions, the crop was healthy. When the soil was in these conditions, the crop wasn't healthy. And so we can take that known data, pull it into machine learning, and then kind of split that data in half for some training purposes. Learn from that crop data based on the soil conditions, whether or not the crop should or shouldn't be healthy. And so then I can actually evaluate or train that model, score it, make sure it looks like it can make good predictions. And as long as it does, I can now actually publish that as a web service that I can consume from client applications of any kind. So now, is Raspberry Pi or Intel Edison could actually send soil sensor values in, and it can alert them back, say, hey, these are not healthy soil conditions. Your crop is not going to be healthy. Or it looks great, you're eating potatoes. It's fantastic. It's a great service.
Well, I can really see how powerful this platform is. But, you know, me being the only one on this planet, I'd love to be able to share this, well, almost the only one on this planet, I'd love to be able to share this data with other biologists. Is there a way to put this up in a website or something?
Of course, in Azure we've got web apps, and these can start out just as sort of free, lightweight websites, or you can take that exact same site and scale it into something that spans the globe. And not only that, you can do it with the programming languages and frameworks that you're used to. So of course we can do ASP.NET, but we've got Node.js, you can do PHP, you can do Python or Flask. So you can really kind of use the programming languages that you're used to. And of course, we got great source control integration and continuous deployment and lots of other cool features there.
Yeah. Thanks for all your help. Azure is really awesome.
Yeah, I really want you to open a data center on Mars. I'd use it right now, but our data compliance regulations don't allow us to use anything off planet.
And actually, speaking of that, Brett, maybe there's one more thing you can help me with. The Habitat really doesn't have blocks on it, and this guy just walked right in. So maybe you can help me with some facial recognition blocks that I can do for the Habitat?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd want to walk it in my house either. But so Project Oxford actually has a ton of great APIs. We've got APIs to help you do image processing. You can do language processing, so text analysis, that type of stuff, as well as speech. Speech to text, text to speech, speaker recognizers, that kind of stuff. I had bullets for those. So image, speech, and text. Let me jump over, I'll kind of show you what that looks like. So you can learn pretty much everything you want to know about Project Oxford. There's a website for it up at projectoxford.ai. And then from there, you can get in, there's links off to the documentation, as well as off to SDKs for a variety of different platforms. But for a quick example, I'll just show you one of the live demos that we have up there. So in Daniel's case, he wants to have sort of this face verification hablock. So there's actually a face verification API that you can use. So in this case, this could be a webcam or your phone camera or something, but I was actually capturing images of Daniel from that feed as he was transmitting from Mars. So let me come in and open up one of those pictures of Daniel. So there he is in his blanket, keeping warm. And notice that the face detection API sees the key points on his face and is able to kind of recognize, at least right now, that it doesn't look like the person next to him. So let me open another picture that I know is Daniel. And I see that the verification API sees the same points, and then down below, in fact, it agrees. It says, yep, those two faces belong to the same person with a high degree of confidence. So in that case, it recognized Daniel. Now, I also had some pictures of Sam that I took off of the feed. So I can come back up and open up one of those pictures. So there's Sam. And the face detection API doesn't detect the face. I mean, he's a Martian, it makes sense, right? But it certainly doesn't match Daniel's face, so Sam wouldn't be able to get in through the hablock. So I think that would probably meet his needs.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the demos, but where can I go for more help? And actually, who can I ask when I have questions? And finally, how can I get some free Azure for me? And some for Sam too.
Those are great questions. So for more resources on basically all the stuff I talked about here tonight, as well as more, we've got a URL up there, aka.ms/space apps. We'll take you out to tutorials and documents and a whole bunch of other great resources where you can learn about those services. And of course, if you have questions, like I said at the beginning, we want to help you. So we have an email alias set up that you can send messages to. We're at spaceapps@microsoft.com. We'll also be back up for the April 12th meetup, and of course we'll be there in person at the event as well at the end of the month here. If you're going to be attending the challenge, check with your organizers, through Joe or through ourselves. We're here in the room as well. We've got some Azure passes that we can give you to get you access to some Azure resources. Just be careful that if you grab a pass tonight, jump in, start using it, but it's a 30-day pass. So that's going to run you right up to the beginning of the hackathon, right? So you might want to use that to learn. and then for the hackathon, look at getting another one for actually using it at the event, if that makes sense, right? So anyhow, hopefully Daniel has the ability to get himself safely off Mars, and maybe has a new pen pal in Sam. So why don't we all wave goodbye, maybe? All right. Anyhow, great. Well, hopefully that was funny and not sad. As I said, my name's Brett. I also have our whole team here in the back. We've got Daniel Egan, Sam Stokes, Shane Houston, Yesenia Alvarez. So if there's anything we can help you with tonight, please grab one of us. We'd love to help you out. All right, thanks a lot. We'll get back to you.
Computer number 3. Okay, our next speakers here are a team that participated in last year's Space Apps Challenge here in Pasadena. They were one of our winning teams. They went on to the global, as a global finalist. They went on to the global challenge, I would say, and they were a finalist in one of the categories. Didn't end up winning at the global level, but still it was a great experience. So I asked them to come here tonight just to talk briefly about their experience with Space Apps, so they could share with you a little bit about what it was like to actually compete. So I would like to introduce the AstroGrow team, which is Alex Pai, Betty Wong, Jama Mohammed, and Torkum, butcher it, Palavanian. Okay, so welcome to the AstroGrow team.
Thank you. So before we begin, I'm going to take a selfie. So, one sec. Okay, everyone smile. Anyway. Okay. Oh, I can get Torkum. Okay, we'll Photoshop in it. Let me back up a little bit. Yeah. Let's wait for it. Okay, so we named our team AstroGrow, and hearing that presentation, Microsoft Azure would have been really helpful to us last year, but we'll see what we can do this year. So this is our entire team. The 4 of us up here, we were friends at Caltech, and we met 4 other people at the competition. And they helped us a lot during the competition. And then the 4 of us are continuing our project on to doing other things, which I'll tell you about later. So we entered the competition. We entered the space food competition, which is how do you use 3D printing to help solve some of the food supply problems for astronauts. And you're welcome to come up with different ideas on how to solve that. So our solution was based around 3D printing. We developed this system that engages the astronauts in like waste reclamation, food production, and air filtration, and it's all based around this pod in the center that kind of monitors the plant's growing conditions and can modify things like the spectrum, the light cycles, those types of things to optimize growth for particular plants. So these things are printed from potato starch filament, and so they can be recycled to scale up and scale down the needs of the crew. So at the center of the system is our pod. We call this the AstroGrow pod. Has various features associated with it, different sensors, different lights, and a touchscreen display. We also made an iPhone app to directly link to the pod as a demonstration of wireless connectivity. Our final solution involves a sort of centrifugal system that sits inside the space station to emulate gravity and has different modules for plants to grow inside. And as I told you about before, we also had an iPhone app. Looks like my battery is dying. Got it? Okay. So we had a mobile app to kind of take the resources off and analyze everything that came from our pod. So we presented this, sorry, I didn't take too many pictures of the event, so all this is reusing existing pictures. So this was taken shortly after we gave the presentation regionally, so Joe is somewhere in the area, he might be the one taking the picture. And we won first place for that region in Pasadena. So there's different regions, there's different countries around. And, oh, this thing is skipping too fast. Okay, so part of the competition, I'm not sure if you know this yet, but if you make it first or second place in the competition, you go on to the global competition, which is like a second round of the competition. Part of this is to make a video that's 1 minute long, showcasing your technology and showcasing your solution. So at this point, we were a bunch of engineers and biologists. We don't really know how to make movies, so we were like, okay, sounds pretty simple. We just need a director and an actress. So luckily this is Los Angeles and there's lots of those around. So one of our team members, Tavor, her cousin was a director, and her cousin's best friend was this girl, Nicole Bloom. She was in a couple of different shows and movies, and she decided she wanted to help us out. So okay, we now had a director and an actress, and us who don't know anything about anything, and we decided to go on a little adventure all across Los Angeles trying to film this thing. So bright and early in the morning, 3 of us went to Earth Cafe in Beverly Hills to meet her for the first time, and we had spent the whole night working on our solution still, because we get to keep working on it. And we were really tired, so approximately 4 a.m. we took a 4-hour sleep in the parking lot of Earth Cafe. Jama unfortunately slept in the trunk. And then we proceeded to drive up and down PCH Highway looking at good photo shoot locations and to take different photo shoots. Let's see. Unfortunately, we mostly just watched them do their magic. So this is them. This may or may not be private property, and we're just filming here some random spots. We also went back to Caltech, and this is our video that we had for the competition, so I'll let you watch it. So this sound is not in effect. I think the speakers are saturated. So we had a watering system inside, a lighting system that you saw before. We had an app for it, a touchscreen display that monitors different conditions that would translate them to the app itself. Thank you, DJ in the back. And then this one was used to grow mint. So we submitted this to the international competition. So there's about 1,000 teams worldwide, and we unfortunately didn't win, but we did become finalists. So we did beat out about 1,000 teams worldwide to become international finalists. So we thought, great, okay, we have this solution now. What do we do with it now? So we tried to continue with this. We got more than our expected response from this. We got a lot of news coverage. This is just a sample of the news coverage we got from the event. We wanted to use this as a STEM learning tool, actually. So teaching K-12 students how to interact with these Internet of Things devices. They get to grow their own plant. They get to change their conditions. They get to become citizen scientists. There's actually a lot that's not known about how you grow a plant optimally indoors. So we got a sponsorship from Advanced Circuits, which is a circuit board manufacturer, and Ultimaker, which is a top-of-the-line 3D printing company, and they're helping us with that effort. And I'm happy to announce that recently we just started our first pilot program at a low-income K-12 school, UCLA Community School. It's a high school with these students right here. And we have 5 pods for them. They mess with the different conditions. There's a camera that has a nice time lapse of the plants growing, so they can realize on the time scale of plant growth what the conditions they're doing to the plant actually do. And we hope to expand this to more schools as well. So sorry for using this photo too much, but the reason I wanted to use this photo was because it's all about the people. When we went into this competition, we didn't know that how useful these people, every one of these people are, and we didn't know all the great things that would come about from all of them. Each of these people is really, really skilled in their area, and we just could not foresee that. And I wanted to leave you with a quote. It says, "The best things in life are unexpected because there were no expectations." There's 2 ways to think about this. So from first, personally, when you approach other people and you don't have expectations for them, life is a lot more fun. It's like the Space Apps competition. In fact, Torkum, when I asked him if he would be a part of this competition, I had like a 5-second pitch, and he just said, "Yeah, let's do it." Jama, I said, "Hey, there's a Space Apps thing, you want to join?" And before I could even tell him what we're doing or what we're going to try to do, he signed up. So that kind of showcases this spirit. And we really feel that when you have no expectations for who you'll meet, when you have no expectations of what you'll need, and when you have no expectations of what you'll get, life is a lot more fun and more people will help you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's awesome. And it's been great to see how they've kind of continued it on. So really cool. Anyways, I thought you guys might enjoy seeing that. Hopefully you benefit from it, get a little inspiration from it, and see one way that it's been done. And so I thank them for that. Next up, we have Dan Isla from JPL, who's a data scientist, a hacker, and is going to, I think, robots come and or something. No.
Awesome, thanks. I thought it was pretty awesome that Azure team was able to somehow reduce the light time delay from Mars and have real-time video streaming. Their cloud platform has some kind of space-time folding technology. There's a button for that. That's pretty sweet. So my name is Dan Isla. I've been at JPL for the past 7 years, and kind of like what the AstroGo guys talked about with no expectations, I didn't really realize I was going to be here when I was in college or beforehand. So this is kind of just a little talk about my journey as an engineer, as a hacker, as a space nerd, and kind of how I ended up working in a really amazing organization and kind of living out my childhood dream as an engineer and scientist. So, here, let's do this work. I can see it. Okay, so in college, my first kind of step into NASA's space was as an intern at JPL. When I came back, I had this great opportunity to work with an astronaut, Barbara Morgan, and actually build an experiment and fly it on the NASA's Vomit Comet in 0G. So this was my senior design project. It was, I got to lead a team of systems engineers, which I didn't know anything about systems engineering at the time. So this was a great experience that like really kind of lit my fire for inspiration. I wanted to do something like this as a career. It involved a lot of hacking. We have my college computer sitting there on a laptop, a box that we built that was testing how different traction concepts would work in lunar gravity. So we had like free flowing dust inside this container with wheels that we 3D printed. And this was probably 8 years ago. So our 3D printers aren't nearly as available and accessible as they are today. I've always kind of been a hacker. I love Hackaday, and I grew up like trolling that site and seeing all the fun things I could do. I studied electrical engineering and computer engineering at Boise State University. So I always had this like hands-on hardware aptness, and adding software to that really just made a really full-round experience. But about in 2011, I decided to build a quadcopter. That seemed like it was a really cool thing to do. It was a really good opportunity to integrate some hardware with some software, and ultimately, hackers love seeing things move. So seeing something fly in the air that doesn't come down and kill you is great. So that was a really fun experience. But then I got to work at JPL, and this is where we get to build like real rovers that are doing enormous things, much bigger than my quadcopter. So having hobbies on the side, but then actually going to work and building something that's going to Mars, this was kind of my dream come true. I got to work on the Mars Science Laboratory Curiosity, the big rover. Hopefully most of you have heard about it. Landed in 2012, and I was on the assembly, testing, and launch team. I got to have hands-on experience putting the spacecraft together, putting it through its launch rigor, doing the countdown, and watching it land on Mars. So that was like really the highlight of my career. Kind of a lucky in timing-wise. I didn't really realize this is all going to happen right after I graduated, having this amazing experience to work on this huge project. And now I'm a data scientist, so like having built and operated these spacecraft, I want to actually use the data that we get from space and these rover missions to make our engineers' lives better and help our scientists actually get the data in a faster, cheaper way. So one of the things that my team does at JPL, as IT data science, is we do this the same approach. The Space App Challenge has a lot of data-focused challenges. And it's all about doing things very quickly, doing them correctly, and then kind of a manifesto that we follow. You know, prototypes are one thing, but they get kind of thrown away. Minimal viable products can grow out, just like AstroGrow. You can actually turn it into a product that might be useful someday in the future. We use computers and the cloud. This is like focal point of moving quickly. You saw how quick it was for Brent to spin up instances for someone on Mars. Having those kind of capabilities really enable you to move quickly and do things right. Dashboards or reports. You know, a lot of data that we've worked with in the past has been run a query, put it in a plotty thing, email it out, and here you go. This is a different world now. We want interactive things. We want to see our data at our fingertips. Tools like Power BI are enabling those kind of abilities. And ultimately, it's about using the data to make sure your questions are correct, validating the conjectures that you come up with, and trying to figure out, like, is this real or is it just what everyone's said it was? You want to actually prove things by showing the data. There's power in the data. So one of the problems that I got to tackle recently, in the past couple of years, was that we get a lot of data from our Curiosity rover on Mars. Somewhere on the order of about 50,000 to 100,000 of these messages or telemetry data points per day. And our engineers, like myself, operating the spacecraft on Mars, we want to actually look at all that data at once. It's none of this, okay, how's the day doing? No, I want to see, like, from the beginning when we landed all the way till now. So we had to actually build solutions that would help with that. And one of the things that I have to do at JPL often is figure out how to innovate in a company that's been around. And so there's a lot of slow process, there's a lot of legacy systems. We like to call them classic systems, but another legacy now. So this was like our go-to process for analyzing telemetry data on Mars for temperatures. So this is the usual, basically the annual temperature of our entire Martian year. And this took our thermal engineer like 3 days to build. And so super old system, and then using Excel or MATLAB to try and crunch on millions of data points. And then, oh yeah, we'll put it in PowerPoint and then email it to our boss, and they get an email, they ask a question like, oh, what's that funny little point up there? And he has to repeat that entire process all over again. So it's extremely slow, extremely frustrating. And he came to us and was like, hey, you know this data. Is there any way we can make this better? Like, are there any tools, anything new? Because I've been doing this for the past 10 years, and it's I'm getting kind of tired of it, right? So what we came up with was a tool called Springs. Let's go ahead and hit the play button there. So I'll show you a video of this web-based telemetry analytics platform that our thermal engineers use today to do trending on Mars. And hopefully it plays. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So this is a web-based application where we ingested all of the telemetry thermal data points into an Elasticsearch database, and it allows users to drill down into the data to see what it looks like at its very finest points, or zoom out and see several hundred sols or days on Mars of data, or just by like scrubbing through your stocks on Google, you can see the entire mission's data set just by and getting real-time feedback. They can interact with multiple telemetry streams through different zones that are on the rover. Just by clicking and switching. You can also see some quick analytics like what are the minimum and maximum temperatures, and are there any outliers in the data? And all the queries are happening in real time with sub-second response, which is very different than the multi-hour a day queries. Rather than sending PowerPoints out, we just email a link, the person clicks on that link, they open up their web browser, they have the same dashboard-like experience where they can drill into the data, ask their own questions, and make their own insights and ask you more information if needed. We also ingested a lot of the log messages that the spacecraft generates. We get about 30,000 of these per day, and today we've got about 40 million that we can search over in real time. We can also look at images and kind of collaborate what was happening when these data points were gathered. What was the spacecraft doing? Where are the shadows at? Because the thermal guys, they see massive temperature changes on Mars just if something's in a shadow. And so having that context is really helpful. So this is an example of tying together a meaningful data set that we use every day and giving it very powerful APIs so that dashboards and real-time interactions can be built. And people are using this now every day to operate spacecraft. Go to the next. So this is made possible by using cloud technology. So Azure is one cloud that you've heard about tonight. We've been using the Amazon cloud for about 7 years now. We're one of the early adopters. And this is really what enables you to do these really rapid minimal viable products / prototypes. We can spin up instances, we can use the services, we can get things done and really focus on the data. So JPL helped build the Amazon GovCloud region that we use because, again, you're working in an organization that not only doesn't move very fast, but also it's a government organization. So you can't just put all your private data, or maybe even sensitive data, in the public cloud. So we have special region just for some of our more sensitive NASA data. I also get to do some hacking. So the spirit of hacking is sometimes it bleeds into my day job, and that when the Pebble watch, hopefully everyone's heard of Pebble, it's been around for a while now. But when it first came out, we got our hands on it pretty early, and we were able to we worked at one of their hackathons and built an app that brought the latest images directly from the rover. They get put in an Amazon bucket, and then we rendered them on the watch. So all you have to do is click your wrist, and it streams in the latest image from Mars. So this is still running today. It was one of the more popular Pebble apps when they released their new app store, and it's still working today. It's pretty cool. So we still get to kind of tinker with the new gadgets that we're working with. We also get to play with the Amazon Echo. That's their new voice-controlled appliance. Some of you may have it at home. So we get to try these out. How does it help our missions? How can we give more context and situational awareness to our engineers? And how do our gadgets that we play with at home help us at work? An example of how we're using the IoT service at JPL, we can basically bring in our security data, and using the IoT service, we can trigger different alerts that happen within our own JPL firewall and doors. So something happens, the security alert, we can send it to the IoT service, not the actual data, but just, hey, why don't you change all these lights a different color and set these alarms? So there's a nice separation of concerns there. And with a very powerful platform like IoT, like Lambda, which is a just code and go platform, we can get a lot done very quickly. What it really comes down to working in data science at JPL is collaboration. You don't really get anything done by yourself. You got to have a really good team, and the tools that you use to connect your team matter. At a hackathon, you've got everyone sitting right next to you. You're on a table. You're getting things done. You're driving up and down Pacific Coast Highway, sleeping in your friend's truck. Pretty awesome. Well, at work, you want to be able to connect and share what you're doing rapidly. So we use tools like GitHub, Trello, and Slack to communicate and work remotely. And really, it's all about collaboration. This is a core diagram that we built just showing how well our software engineers collaborate on GitHub Enterprise. You can see different organizations working together and how much they contribute to each other. So it's pretty cool. So that's it. I get to work on a lot of cool things. I think it really has been a journey, and working with data that comes from space, There's nothing like that. So take the Space Apps Challenge, make it useful, and do something amazing that you can share with others. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. So cool. It's, I mean, it's obviously unique to have something like JPL so close, but it's even more unique to have the opportunity to engage in an event like this where JPL is going to be so intimately involved, and you'll see that kind of evolving as we go forward the next few weeks here. But it's when I think about how hard it is to get in and get a look at that campus for people and what they go through each year, just to get a tour of it and stand in long lines to get a little taste of it. That with this, you really get to dive in and participate in the same data and kind of swim in the same pools that these guys are swimming in. Maybe not quite so deep, but you get to get right in there. NASA's opening all this up, and so it's a very unique opportunity, and we're very thankful that JPL is so gracious to be involved and share their insights. So thanks again, Dan. Okay, so I've got a couple last things to talk about here. One, I wanted to come back to this, the NASA Women in Data Boot Camp. This is a very unique event. I'm going to read a little bit about it here so I don't miss anything. But the Women in Data Boot Camp is meant to broaden the base of hackathon participants and bring an even greater diversity of skills and perspectives, particularly from women and girls, to address challenges on Earth and in space. Attendees will learn new concepts, strategies, and skills from keynote speakers, panelists, and mentors, and apply their learnings in breakout sessions throughout the day. The point of this day is really to introduce people who maybe have been intimidated in some way from not engaging in a hackathon or getting involved in working with data, or are just interested in seeing what people are doing to kind of lead the way in opening doors and expanding boundaries. To do that, we've got some great people coming. We've got Renee Wynn, who's the NASA CIO, Deborah Diaz, the NASA CTO on the IT side, a few from JPL, Jessica Kawada and Anita Sengupta are coming. Doug Wheelock, an astronaut, will be there. Anup Ladawala, from the Planetary Society. Kate Stone from the Valia is coming over from the UK. That's just a few of the people who will be there. Really kind of exemplary group of women coming together and a few men to help push this forward. Should be a fantastic day. I'm really looking forward to it. There will be stations there where you can engage and interact with technology and products hosted by JPL, Microsoft, Intel, Socrata, NASA, and more. So it will be a fantastic day, and I encourage you to attend if you can. And the sign up is on the same page as the sign up for the main hackathon. At the top, you'll see Space Apps, and then just to the right of it, you'll see Data Bootcamp. So that is where you sign up. Finally, our next meetup, so we've got one more of these on the books, and it is at the Carnegie Observatory's main offices, which are down on the other side of Pasadena. This building is so cool. This is the building that Edwin Hubble studied in. This is the building where he discovered the expanding universe. I sat in the office where he used to have they used to be his office, and literally they're like, well, this is where he had his machinery, and this is where he had his equipment, and this is where he made the discovery. So the building's 100 years old. It's tucked into a little neighborhood in Pasadena. They have a library there where Hubble and Einstein had meetings and studied, and it's just a very cool place. They also maintain a few telescopes here in the U.S. still, but are primarily focused down in South America. We'll get an overview of what they're doing, what they've done, and what they're planning to do in the future. Just a really cool space. That meetup is in a few weeks on a Tuesday night. We'll have more information about Space Apps, more information from sponsors. We will not be repeating ourselves, but I encourage everyone to come to that if you can. It's a smaller venue than this, so we will have a few less people able to attend. So if you do want to go, please sign up early. And if you sign up and you're not going to go, please back yourself out so that someone else can take the spot. I think I have a picture of the library next. My final slide. So there's Hubble's the tall one. over on the left, and you know who understands. But that's the library, and the painting's still there. I mean, it is that room. So it's a very cool space. I encourage everybody to come if you can. I would like to thank Supplyframe for hosting us tonight. Dan, David, Liz, and Michael, and please track them down and ask some questions if you'd like to. I'd also like to thank Elizabeth Eichhorn, who took care of our catering this evening. She's in the back there. Amazing kitchen, and she will be organizing all of our food for Space Apps Challenge this year. So you will be seeing her around. Don't be a stranger. And if you enjoy the food, please thank her and be kind. And finally, I'd like to just ask if anyone has any questions for myself or any of the presenters. Everyone will be around for a bit to answer questions, but if you have anything, if I totally omitted something that you think I should say to the group, please feel free to ask a question. Okay?
When we register, are we supposed to register with our teams?
No, you register by yourself.
Okay.
Cool. Well, please, there's some more food out, cookies and fruit and things. Hang out, meet each other, talk to the crew from Microsoft. We've got someone here from Intel still over here. They have tons of cool stuff, probably more than you realize, that they can help bring to bear on your projects. We've also have a few people from JPL here. So please reach out to them. If you have any questions for me or want my contact info, please ask me as well. And thank you very, very much for this, and good luck, and can't wait to see what you do.